And I'm live. That is like actually cool. I thought that I would stop streaming, but I have started to stream. The problem was that it seemed like I'm trying to do something for other people, like for pretentious or something. Yeah, and yeah, so something that I did not want to do, but from now on, I'm going to be doing what I like actually just want to do, and it would be with the camera on, right? So this won't feel like I'm streaming or doing some performing something, or yeah, yeah. So that is cool. And yes, some people messaged and like commented on the post, and they said like shit. And I thought, shit, this is not just a me thing now. This was a us thing. Shit. Hello, bro was online right there. Shit. So yeah, I thought this was not a me thing, and this was a us thing, and I took that away from some people, and like people are actually kind of enjoying. So shit. And yeah, so I will not be as structured as I was, and I will just raw dog everything here. When world needed him, he's back. Shit. That is like too much praise. And I will be working with Raylib. I will be doing like the mouse precision thing with the OS specific code today on the stream. So that is cool. But before that, let's do some Wordle. What is the Wordle for today? And hello, how are you, Darsh Parekh 4926? Shit, that is from Europe? Shit, no. Random guess. Okay, not even close. Shit, that is from Europe. Uh, Probably not, but somewhere around there. Lithuania? Somewhere. Okay. Shit. This is okay. Tajikistan. Okay, we are very, very close. Kyrgyzstan or Kyrgyzstan. Fuck yeah, Kyrgyzstan. Okay, cool. That is nice. And the neighbors of Kyrgyzstan. Shit, China is also a neighbor. That is crazy. And Turkmenistan, I would suppose. Turkmenistan is not. Okay. And Tajikistan is. And Kazakhstan. Okay. And Uzbekistan, I would also suppose is a neighbor, and it is a neighbor. That is nice. And what is the capital of Kyrgyzstan? That would be Bishkek. Okay, cool. Shit, where is Bishkek? Okay, shit. That is nice. Okay, this is Tajikistan. This is, I think, no, this is Uzbekistan, China, Pakistan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan. Shit, this is not Uzbekistan. This is Turkmenistan. My bad. Shit, yes. This is Turkmenistan. This is Uzbekistan. This is Afghanistan. This is Kazakhstan. And we are looking for Kyrgyzstan, which is this. Okay, and the hallmark. Shit, what is a landmark? This doesn't look like Kyrgyzstan. It might be this. Do they have horses? Yes, they do have horses. Kyrgyzstan is close to Mongolia. Hello. Okay, yeah, thank you. Take the red one. Shit, the maybe the top right. Yes, this seems like it. It is close to Mongolia, right? Kyrgyzstan. So, shit, it is actually it. And yes, because Mongolia, I like the picture that comes to mind when we think of Mongolia, and someone like Genghis Khan is someone with horses. So yeah, horse. Can you guess what the name? Okay, Amelgaborg, not Fort Nepo. Should it might actually be Napoleon? No, I don't think so. It would be Napoleon because that is too far into the mainland USSR. And Marigat Bay, not museum. Okay, it is a museum, State History Museum. Okay. And national emblem. Shit, I might mess this up. Not this. This is a crown thing. This is a Central America thing. And this could be it. This is Cyrillic. And Saint Martin, this might not be it, and this is certainly not it. This is like Korean thing, and this is South Korea. Okay, this shit. Okay, that is nice. Cyrillic. And what do they speak? Russian? Shit. Kazakh? Kyrgyz is a language. Okay, and there is Kyrgyz. Okay, Ta is Tajik. Tajik is a language. Uzbek. Kyrgyz and Uzbek. Okay. In Kyrgyzstan, they speak Kyrgyz and Uzbek. That is nice. And they must be in Cyrillic font. Yep. Well, Kyrgyzstan certainly is in Cyrillic. Uzbek might be, might not be. This is like Monom Sest. That is like French. Let's see. Shit. Okay. Okay. Population. Shit. Population. How many people live in Kyrgyzstan? 3 to 5 million. Shit. There are quite a few people. 7 million. And the currency, no idea. Okay, Som. Shit, I guess I've made this mistake at some point also. Like, yeah, at some point in the far past. Do not disturb. And Bish cake on the top, capital. Jalal Abd and she grandfather calling. And is this nope, the screen is not stuck. That is nice. And hello, how is everything going on? And yes, I am me streaming again. And this is just some random order. Yeah, okay, there is some order in random. And the area, Kyrgyzstan is not very big, but it has 7 million people there. Shit, right, 7 million. 7 million people. I guess this. Yeah, that might. Shit, okay, it is big. It is big. It is big. 200,000 kilometers. Okay, Kyrgyzstan is big. And that was nice. Wordle, lol. Yep, everything good. Let's go. And yeah, with that, let's now. I still haven't done the problems in the last contest from the shit. That is some Cyrillic right there. No, that is Greek. What is the Greek font called? Meaning, good evening. Shit. Okay. Uh, Kalispera. Kalispera is Greek. That is nice. And what is the Greek alphabet called? The Greek, okay, it is called the Greek alphabet. It is also sometimes referred to as Hellenic alphabet or the Epsilon Sigma alphabet. Okay, okay, it is called the Greek alphabet. The Greek alphabet is called the Greek alphabet. That is very imaginative. And problems. Yes. Shit, I still haven't done the problems. That is very bad. Okay, dungeons. First of all, we will do this, and then some other things. Hello, I am doing pretty cool. And yes, from now on, the format is not that, okay, let's do Codeforces now for 3 hours straight. It is more flexible. So Yeah, but there are going to be some topics. Right now, I just did a little bit of Wordle for the day, and now we will do some uh, code forces questions, and then we will do some project that I have been working on. Shit, what is it? Okay. Some project that I've been working on. Code bases, game of life, and make, bin, and debug. Yeah, bin, debug, game of life, and there is the project. This is game of life. We select stuff, but yeah, we select stuff like this, right? I'm making all of these cells alive, and then we can start the game by pressing space. The game of life has started. We can change the speed. We can increase the speed by up arrow or decrease the speed by clicking down arrow, and then stop and change again, and then start again. Right, that is pretty nice, cool. But the problem is here, when I move my mouse too quickly, there are like these cells are not filling up completely. Like when I move my mouse too quickly, the cells are not filling up completely. There are gaps. So that has to be fixed. And for that, we need some OS specific code, right? Uh, Because the library that we are using for this app, we are using a function from that library to get the mouse coordinates, like the place where the mouse is, and then we are calculating uh, where the mouse is currently, like from its coordinates, and calculate that function is not updating fast enough. That function is only updating in accordance with the FPS that we are using, and that is not good enough. So it is only updating like 60 times a second. But if our mouse is moving faster than that, which it is right now, then the coordinates of the mouse are not updating quickly, and that is not good. So yeah, we will have to write some OS specific code for this to work. And yeah, that is cool. And on to solving this problem. And I'll just like read the editorial for this because yeah, I want to just read the editorial for this. Dungeons. And I did try to read the editorial, and there were like so many lemmas, lemma 1, lemma 2, lemma 3, lemma 4, lemma 5. Yes, there are so many lemmas. You gain a new sword after killing a monster. Its damage will be greater or equal to than the previous sword. If you gain a new sword after killing a monster, its damage will be greater or equal to than the previous sword. Why? So they are saying some monsters are there whose, or like some situations are there in which after killing a monster we get a sword whose health is, or like, yeah, whose damage is higher than the one that we used to kill the monster. Okay. And then when will we attempt to kill monster with some 0, with the return sword damage 0, when we cannot avoid, when we cannot get any non-damage swords, any swords with damage after killing some monsters. So we will have to kill monsters which give us swords without any damage. Consider a greedy approach. Yes, we will call killing monsters monster I with a certain sword, operation I, and call the sword with smaller damage the smaller sword. Okay, we will call killing monster I with a certain sword, operation I. Okay, killing a monster I, some monster with a certain sword is called operation I. Cool. And call the sword with smaller damage the smaller sword. Okay, so shit, there are two swords. One is the sword with which we are killing the monster, and the other sword is the one which we are getting after killing the monster. And the one with the smaller damage will be called the smaller sword. Makes sense. Now, lemma 1. It is optional to attempt to kill monsters with Ci equals 0 after it is optimal to attempt to kill monsters with Ci, that is the return damage sword, equals 0 after every attempt to kill monsters with Ci greater than 0 after every attempt. So they are saying whenever we have a choice between killing a monster who gives us a sword in return whose damage is greater than 0, we would prefer to kill that monster instead of killing a monster which gives us a sword with 0 damage. Okay, that does make intuitive sense, but they also have a proof for some intuitive sense. That is nice. Suppose we kill monster J who gives us in return a sword whose damage is 0. Before killing monster K, CK greater than 0. Okay. Before killing monster K, CK greater than 0. Since we will not gain any swords after killing a monster with CK equals 0, the proof the sword used for killing monster K must exist before we kill monster J. Okay, that is just getting words. Yo, by the way, in between, please drop some info on your streaming workflow. I got Omark and Arc and want to do stream setup on both sides. Okay, you can just use OBS and shit. I had to go through and do some things in OBS. So it lasted only one day. That is good. We do make decisions that like these things don't go right. Yes, yes. Stumbling uphill is the phrase that I like for this. And got Omar. Omar key is nice. Super K for keybind, super space for app palette, and super alt space for the settings, and super B for browser, super enter for terminal. Omar key is just amazing. Wait, okay, it is okay. There was update. There was update. I did not update my OBS. That was the mistake set. And Omar key, I used Omarki once, and on like a old laptop I borrowed from someone, and I installed Omarki, and yes, Omarki is so nice. Like you get all of the operating system benefits. Mm, Like in Neovim, we can set up keybinds for anything I want, right? Like if I'm here working in a directory, I can press space MRC, my root directory, which is a keybind I made, and I am in here where my configuration is defined for Neovim. So that is nice. And yes, shit, like I can define keybinds for everything. And using Omarki, we get the same experience at the operating system level, which is crazy. Which is like actually like dream come true, which is actually like crazy. We get this whole thing, and the screen splitting in Omarki is amazing. Super and up down arrows to change the focus. It is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And yes, uh, so what is the new game plan now? The new game plan is we'll just do random shit. And like, I don't know why didn't I notice this, but uh, all the other people, like most of the people, they just stream and they also do random stuff or almost random. They don't do like, okay, we are going to do one thing for 3 hours and we will do this for 4 or 5 months straight every day. Like they do new things every day. So, and I guess that is what keeps them fresh and going and cool. Shit. And yes, that is what is going to happen. And yeah, for now, right now. And instead of doing one thing for the whole 3 hours, I have thought maybe we can do something for some time and then switch on to some other thing. Like, variety feels nice. Variety feels nice in this. And you said OBS. You want to set up your OBS. I did a cool thing which I like in OBS. I want to stream on 2K. I am right now streaming on 2K, but my Wi-Fi does not support 2K because 2K takes a lot of internet uploading speed at 60 FPS. So I reduced the FPS to 30, and that just works. And also you have to see the video encoding for your hardware. On Mac, we have like hardware encoding for H264, I guess. For both H264 and H265. H264 is also called EVC, advanced, wait, no. EVC and HEVC, yes. Yeah. So on Mac, we have hardware level support for H264 video encoding and decoding. So that is why it works. But if I were to use something like HEVC, which is also supported at hardware level on Mac OS, this one, but this is more complicated and takes more resources, and the stream might lag or like frames might drop. So you have to find the right balance between your hardware and your Wi-Fi to get it right. One, two, three. Now I'm back. So yes, I did saw you were solving a lot of questions yesterday. Yes, I was talking you. I'm back, so I can also do that. I would like to see you do some web development. Web development. And I was thinking maybe plans. These are just plans, not promises. That maybe I might do 1 week, one project every week, and good projects, not just like simple, normal projects. Because, and I think that is not too far-fetched because I completed the Redis project, not learn in XY, code crafters, and let me show you this thing. I did complete this. So this is like right now fully functional in the sense that I can make this run, but you'd have to go through the code and there is like no documentation for this right now. But yeah, this works. I made the last commit, finished, finished. And everything that is a part of the final project is here. Application.cpp and debug event loop. And this, like, I did this in 1 week. So I guess saying that 1 week, one project in 1 week is not too far-fetched. So yeah, we can try for that, and that would be actually cool. So right now, the project that I'm working on is called Game of Life, which is like Conway's Game of Life. Game of Life, and it is, I've worked this project, I'm working with my friend here. This is my friend's main repository, and yeah, I have made like 2 pull requests on this thing. And if I go here, which is cool, see 2%, I have like 2% pull requests. That is nice. That is nice. So yeah, this is not just x-axis thing, this thing also has a now y-axis, which is cool. And yeah, so that would be the plan. Doing stuff. Game of Life, it is uh bin debug Game of Life, run it. So in Game of Life, there is a grid, like a rectangular grid like this, and a cell can have two different states. One is alive, a cell could be alive, which is represented by color here, or dead, which is like the dark side of this. And let me increase the size. Mhm. Wait, wait. Shit, shit, my friend made a pull request. Okay, shit, he updated code. I mean, Game of Life is a very known thing, I would say. And yeah, people know this. Okay. So a cell can have two different states. One is live or one is dead. Right now, all of these are dead, and now this cell is live, alive, 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 alive. And depending on the current state, the next state of this whole grid is determined. If there is a cell who has two or less than two neighbors, then that cell will die in the next iteration. But if there is a cell like this one here, this one here, and this cell is not alive right now, it is dead, but it has three neighbors who are alive, and we are also counting this diagonal neighbor right here. So this cell in the next iteration will become alive, and yeah, that is all the rules. And also, if there are more than three neighbors for a cell, like this cell itself, it has one, two, three, four, five neighbors, so it will die in the next iteration. You can see, and yeah, the game just progresses from there. We can select cells, and yes, this, and now we can start, and game is progressing according to the rules, and that is pretty cool. And there are amazing patterns which we can see. There is a glider. It would be cool if I get this right. The glider. I think that is the glider. Let's see. Yes. So this is a glider, and this just keeps moving on like that. This is what we call the glider. And apart from the glider, there are other interesting shapes. There is a fish. Okay, and I think the fish is like this. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, so the fish moves like this. That is cool. And look at what happens when the fish hits the wall. Shit, the fish becomes a glider. That is cool. That is Conway's game of life. And but now, right now, there are a few problems with this. First of all, it is taking a lot of CPU. Will keep you in background. Yo, need to learn NeoVim configuration of my own. NeoVim, you can watch the Viro video series. Yo, so how does the game work? Like, uh, how we are writing it? How we are using this library called relib.com, not .com, but just relib, and we are using stuff from here for writing things. And yeah, we can use this library for literally anything you want. Look at this. They have some example projects they have made using Relib. Sure. And shit, when I first played this video, I thought there might be some college level simple projects, and look at the examples. Mm, yeah, they literally made Minecraft in this. So what will you do with this? What will I do with this? I mean, Game of Life is interesting. I just want to make Game of Life that is like pretty cool. Game of Life. And they have like literally Minecraft in this, and 3D version of Mine and Bomb or something is the name of this game. And there is this very interesting game. This one, Perspective. This is a very cool game. Look at this. This is literally cool. Yeah, so we can, if you want, we can make all of these crazy games in Raylib. That is cool. Yes, they have Minecraft. Man, give me some projects to make as a system programmer. Oh, make a kernel. Make a kernel. Shit, no. Systems programmer. I wouldn't know. Maybe you can make some IoT things for your house, but you would need some other hardware, Arduino or something for that. You can make it using Raylib if you want to. And systems programmer, some project ideas. I guess you can just uh, go to Codecrafters and look up some. Yes, there is emulator. I guess this would also count as a systems project. Yeah, this would also count as a systems project, writing a emulator tutorial for like 8-bit, and there is one for Game Boy. That is cool. One, yeah, Game Boy emulator in C++ and 8-bit chip interpreter. This is cool. Maybe you can do some of this emulation stuff. This is cool. This would be cool. Writing your own CPU emulator, 8-bit emulator. That is cool. That's cool. Shit. Have you ever played COC? Nope, I haven't. Shit, I did play when in seventh class, but yeah, I'm not into too much of COC. Yes. Back to killing monsters. It is optimal to attempt to kill monsters with CI equals 0 after every attempt to kill monsters with CI greater than 0. That does make sense. And suppose you kill monster J with CI equals 0. CI is the value damage of the sword which will be returned after killing this jth monster. So we won't get any damage from the sword. And we are saying we are killing this jth monster before we kill a monster whose like index or name, yeah, we call the monster by the name K, whose name is K, and he or she, yeah, she could also be a monster. She gives us a sword in return whose damage is greater than 0, non-negative, non-zero. Since we will not gain any sword after killing a monster with Cj equals 0, the sword used for killing monster K must exist before we kill monster J. Thus, we can defer operation J until operation K. So, they are saying we need a sword when we are going to kill, hopefully, the K monster later. But if we do kill the J monster before, we will get in return nothing. And we cannot kill monster J with nothing. So we will first kill monster K with which will give us something. And with that something we will go kill later monster J. Okay, that sounds good on paper. Next, we will call the process of killing monsters with return value greater than 0 stage 1, and then the process of killing monsters with return value 0 is as stage 2. That is nice. And yeah, that was the first lemma, and that is true. That is true. We would first kill monsters who give us something, and after that we will kill monsters who give us nothing. That, yeah, that also like sounds intuitively correct. In stage 1, it is optimal to kill them in increasing order with respect to bi. And also, shit, I'm in the like storeroom now, so I can stream longer and I can stream at unusual hours. Can you send link of the repo? Yes. uh Code crafters. Yep, build your own X. Looks like back to Greenland. Yes, always newbie, always a newbie. Shit. Yes, never there mentality, I guess. Dab, if you're real. Sh Shit. My lingo is very bad. And I suppose dab is this and shit. Yes, if my lingo is very bad. My slang lingo is very, very bad. I would like by mistake do the Nazi symbol and trying to do dab. And if that is something that you meant, and if that is like not even remotely close to what you were trying to say there, then my bad. In stage 1, it is optimal to kill them in increasing order. Okay, now we are at lemma 2. Let's read, let's read tourist's code, or not tourist, Jiangli. Hmm, Jiangli, his code. Yeah, that is Mr. Jiangli. Submissions or contests? Shit. Shit. Yeah. Wait. Only rated? Nope. So all the contests, and he was not there in the global round. Min max, shit, 29, 29. He has not been submitting. Shit, I would have to read tourist solution. And he did give the contest, so that is nice. All global round, a rank 11, and he lost rating point at rank 11. Shit. And question number C, let's see. And shit, yes. Now I remember. I don't know why, how I forget. Yeah, he had shit. Okay, I got confused with something. There was another question in which I guess it was Jiang Li who had a whole different. He created a whole different class to get something. Yes, and I think that question, that problem, not a question, we do not call them questions. That problem was, yeah, so yes, to be more clear, what I mean, there was a question, there was a problem at 1700 rating, and I think it was that problem. This one, I think it was this one, and I was reading Jiang Li's submission for this contest, for this problem, and he had, as I remember, I think, a whole different class. He created a whole class to solve this question. Let's see, standings. Yeah, Jiang Li. And so we can go to 155, educational round. Contest. 155, educational round. And this was educational round. Wait, why are we like at the bottom? Nope, not only rated all the contests. Yes, this one. And yeah, for this one, he had a whole class. Yes, he's okay. He has different functions, and yes, he had a structure, a class, same thing. M long is the name, and this thing has a lot of functions. This is the declarator. Without taking an integer, it initializes this variable x, the constructor, and this is the default constructor and constant expression. Okay, and this constructor takes a I64 variable integer, and norm is doesn't seem to be a custom defined function. And get mod is also not a custom defined function, it seems. Okay, and yeah, so he is initializing this variable x by taking a variable in this constructor, and there are a lot of functions, lot of methods in this constructor, in this class. And then he has other structure mint, and this one has a lot of friend functions, and friend functions are the functions which can be called by some other operator, by some other function which has defined this class as its friend. So yeah, it is something. And then the main code is very small because of all of this pre-calculation here, and that is cool. I want to understand like what is all of this. That would be cool. He cannot, it's pre-recorded. Shit. Ah, shit. Okay, okay, makes sense, makes sense. Okay, shit. Yeah, I'm too retard. He hasn't given contest. Generally, code is really interesting. Yes, yeah, and yes, it like totally makes sense. And due to some reason, he does not use using stdio. The only thing he uses is this I64, and yeah, he uses stdcn, which is crazy, which is actually crazy. Bro, you can double click on their name in standings to see all their submissions. Ah, that is nice. Shit, I guess I would just go to their profile. Let's see. Shit. Okay. Ah, that does work. Shit. That is cool. That is cool. Okay, shit. They even have the time. 2 minutes 39 seconds. Shit. And I can see the submissions. That is nice. That's cool. And yes, back to it. Jiang Li didn't give the contest, sadly, and tourist did. So we'll read his code. Or should we can use the newly discovered way? Should standings. Shit. Instead of going to the profile, we'll go here. Standings. And 11. Shit, why is he not on 11? Because this guy gave a virtual contest and tourist became 12th. Makes sense. Okay, double click. My bad. Shit. Why am I going to the profile again and again? Okay, that is sad. We're gonna go to the contests. Solved. Okay, the third one. C. Dungeons. This is what he did. Takes in N and M. N is the number of monsters, I suppose, and M is the number of swords, or it might be like totally opposite. N swords and M monsters, which makes more sense. M for monsters. Then A, take in all of the sword damages in a vector. B for the monster healths, and the C for return things. And then we have a multiset. We are making a multiset out of A. Okay. And then vector tuple all, which is m dot begin and m dot end, I suppose. Okay, he does not have anything there. And wait, okay, he is using namespaces today. I thought, okay. Vector tuple of three integers, all. Why is the definition of all not here? If def local, then include debug, else define debug 42. Okay, all is all. Shit, all is the name of the vector, my bad. And m is the size. And int I equals 0, I is smaller than m. All I is, okay, ci equals to 0. If ci equals 0, then all first thing is yes, and the second otherwise no. If ci is non-zero, okay, the return sword. And then bi is the health of the damage, health of the monster, and then ci is the index where we have it. Okay, why we need I, but anyways, sort all dot begin and all dot end. So okay, and not in the reverse order. We are sorting this normally. So Ci equals 1 equals 0. That is the monsters which do give us something, they will come in the front. And amongst the ones that do give us something, the ones which have the smallest health will come forward. And if there are some monsters which have like same amount of health, then amongst them we will first have the monsters whose index is smaller. Okay, and then answer equals 0. Auto, we don't care about the first two things, we only care about the last one, which is the index. All, and auto it is s dot lower bound, s dot lower bound, and s is the multiset, I suppose. S is the multiset of A. Okay, s dot lower bound, bi is the wait shit. That is crazy. How can we use this I interchangeably here? Okay, that is crazy. That is crazy. That is, I think that no, that is also okay. That is also okay. That is okay. Yeah, we will get the this value at that point. Okay, that is okay. And we are checking the lower bound. That is in S the values which are equal to or higher than bi. Okay, and if there are some values such like that, then answer plus 1. And then end value equals the value at bi, like the value it takes to kill that monster, and then s dot erase it. Okay, we got the value and erase that iterator. Okay, because we did use that sort. And fci was shit. Wait, how is this simple? So we are greedily just killing the monsters which do give us some sword in return, and have health. Huh, shit. Wouldn't this fail on one of the examples on this one? Mm, shit. Okay. How does this work? How does this work? Shit. And seems like he is the one who wrote all the examples code in C++ programming book. Shit. Seems like he's the one who wrote all example codes in C++. It takes more time. That is why I told. Yeah, it take like getting better in Codeforces, I suppose. You can click anywhere on the cell. Ah, that makes sense. Shit, okay. My bad. Not particularly on the name. Sorry, I should have mentioned not exactly on the name though. Yeah, yeah. Okay, this is from the last time. And wait, this would feel, it feels like. So what we're doing here is we are sorting them first of all on the basis of what we have right now. On the basis of which monster gives us back a sword which is non-zero. So if we were to sort these also, these monsters will go later and these ones will come in the front. Okay, so after our sorting, we will have 6 and then 2, 2 and 6, 2, and here the return value would be 2, 7, 2, 0, 0. Okay, and after sorting them on the basis of what they like, if they are returning something or not, then we are sorting them according like smallest in their killing value. Okay, and we are going to use the smallest sword. So after sort, if we sort this again, according to the second number in the tuple, we will have 2, 2, 6, and 2, 6. And at the bottom, we will have 2, 2, 7, and 0, 0. Shit, I messed up. Yeah, first 7 will come here, and then 2, and here we will have 2. Okay, that is cool. And okay, so yeah, this is like completely sorted, right? According to all the three parameters in the tuple. Yeah, that is cool. And then, okay, we are saying that we will kill this monster first, which we can, and the smallest sword that we have, which kills this, is this one. Yes, so we will remove the sword and we will add a sword with a health of 7, so that is nice. And then we go on to the next monster, we kill it, and the smallest sword which kills that is 7, and we will add the corresponding nice one, return sword, which is 2, and then we try to kill this one, which we can with this one, with this sword. So we remove the sword and we add the one which was returned, which is 2. Then we move on to kill this one, which has, yeah, which we can kill using this sword. So yeah, we'll remove this and we'll add the one which was returned, which is 0, and then we cannot kill this one. So yeah, answer for this would be 4. Is the answer 4 for the shit? It is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yes, answer, shit. No, no. Hmm. Yes, I think I've done the right representation for this algorithm. The first thing is whether or not it is returning us something, and yes, that is nice. And then smallest to biggest, here these are returning us something and these are not, and amongst these we will sort them according to like in ascending order of their killability. So we'll have 2, 2, and 6, and now since we have two twos, we'll use the one, we'll put the one first which appears in the array also first. So 7, and then 2, and then 6 and 2, and amongst these also we will go smallest to biggest. 2, 6, 0, 0. Okay, and yeah, that is completely sorted. And initially the sorts that we have are 1, 7, and 7 in health. Okay, then we will kill this one, and the smallest sword we can use is 7, so we will remove 7 and we will add this one to our repository. That is nice, one monster down. Then we will move on to this monster. We'll kill this, and the smallest sword we can use to kill a monster with health 2 is this sword, and that is nice. That is nice. And this is like all in accordance with this. Yes, this is all in accordance with the algorithm written here. Yes. But if instead of killing this monster with 2 2, we would rather kill this monster, because yeah, because after killing this we can kill this one with this 2 sword, but after killing this monster we'll get a sword with a health of 2, and we won't be able to kill the 6 monster And the monster with health 6 with the sword with damage 2. Maybe I'm messing up in the like simulation part. So let me write the code. Shit. What is 62 into 71? 4,200. 4,200 plus 140, 4,340 plus 62, 4,340. Shit, 4,440, 4,402. Okay, I might have messed this up. Let's see. Shit, okay, that is correct. That is like actually correct. Uh, you here, C++, boilerplate, int n and m, taken n, and then there are three vectors. Vector int a size n and b size m and c also size n. For int reference x and a, c and x, and replace with b, replace with c. Cool. ABC are now filled, and now we will sort multiset of integers and stop the LSP. And yeah, S for sorts makes sense. A dot begin, A dot end, and I think that is the right syntax. Yeah, that is the right syntax, I think. Um, yep, now we need the vector of tuple of three integers. Yeah, and M and S, like M and S, the mons, and the size would be 1 for int I equals 0, I is equal to n, then mi plus plus M and S. Shit, where did the whole thing go? MNST I equals, the first thing would be um, whether something is returned by it or not. If this thing equals 0, then make it 1, otherwise make it 0. Otherwise make it 0, yes. And the second is how much health is required, and the third is length. And then sort MNS C dot begin and MN, M comma MNS C dot end. Cool. And after sorting, we'll say answer equals 0, or we will not use the same thing that tourist used. We will, yeah, we think different. We will call it response. I equals 0 and I smaller than m I plus plus auto iterator equals, you will get the iterator from S dot lower bound for this current thing that you want to kill, which is not bi. Shit. We don't need anything else. We just need the index out of this MNST thing. So for auto, we don't care about the first two things. We only care about the third thing, which is the index. MNST auto iterator and s dot lower bound get bi. Now if it is not equals s dot end, if we have something, then answer plus plus, we will increase our answer by 1 because we killed this thing first of all. And yeah, we killed this thing. We'll increase the answer, and s dot, I guess, yeah, increase the answer by 1, and s dot erase Yeah, it is IT, and we need to now add S dot insert CI if CI is something. If CI C out response, okay, with a new line. Hmm. Auto. Uh, should why is that wrong? Answer was not mean makes sense. Yeah, a wrong answer because we shit that is the exact thing. We said 5 here instead of 4. We said 4 instead of 5. Return 1 is max of previous and new one. Max x. Huh? Yes. I said pause, not quit. And yes, I'm back after 1 day. Shit, that was a long time gone away. Hmm. Max. Max. Why would that work? Shit. Max. This is Max. Max Verstappen. Max. Maximum of CI or the sword which you are using to kill this guy. Okay. How is max working? Max value or CI? Shit. How is this working? How is this working? Max value or CI? Max value or CI? Value is the value of the sword, the damage of the sword which we are currently using to kill this ith monster. Then CI or CI or CI. How can we do? Well, this should work now. This does work now, but how does that? Yes, Max Verstappen. That song is like pretty cool, and Max himself listens to it while driving, so that is cool. It is given in the problem. Shit. The sword disappears. If CI greater than 0, you will obtain a new sword with damage. Shit. 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 Okay. Shit. Shit. Okay. Shit. So, shit. This problem is now like, shit. This is very easy now. So even the order does not matter. If I have a single sword here, shit. 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 We will get the maximum of the thing. Yes, it is done. The Redis project is. The last time he won from P17 sh share. I didn't wait. There was a recent F1 race that I'm not following it like currently what is going on. But yes, somehow this guy is at the top, McLaren. Somehow, and Oscar Piastri is like uh, very cool. He is Iron Man. Yeah, somehow, yeah. Sure. I watched Rick's F1 addiction video on Oscar Piastri, and he said Oscar Piastri learns from his mistakes, which is very impressive. And he also has a salary, shit, Australian. And Redis, yes, Redis is done and it is working. And okay, so the backend is pretty cool. Backend is working. Backend has event loops and it can handle multiple clients at the same time. That is cool. And it can even handle differentiate clients based on their IP addresses. Eh, But what it does not do is if you are sending requests to the server using the same IP address, then it will not be able to differentiate between the things. And there are right now just some basic operations. One is get, then there is a set operation and there is a delete operation. So yeah, when you use get, after get you give a little space and then the key whose value you want to get. When you use set you give a space and then the key, then a space and then the value. That is how you set something. And for delete you give del space and then the key whose value you want to delete. And yeah, the server is able to differentiate between different clients based on their IP address. That is something, and that is nice. And also this is like the server is very I would say very rule oriented. If you try to get a key which does not exist, then the server will block your connection. Yeah, the server will like cancel your connection. That is nice. And if you try to delete even a key which does not exist, then your connection will be closed. And yeah, that is nice. And yes, set. You can use set to set a key which does not exist, or to update a key also. You can use the set operation. And also there is the particular format, the protocol, which the server and the client are using to communicate with each other, which is the first 4 bits of the message contain the whole length of the whole thing which the client is saying. And then yeah, so first 4 bits tell us the length, and then the whole payload comes after that, and that payload is divided into different sections. In that payload itself, we we will have something like this: a command and then the input, the argument. So if we are sending set space key space like val, then the way that this will be sent by the client is first we will create the payload. For creating the payload, we will take 4 bits and we will say the word after this has length 3, and that thing will be in little endian. So yeah, first we will have 4 bits which will say 3, just 3 number in binary, and then we will have this thing set in bits, in like bytes. This will take 3 bits, right? 3 bytes, one for S and then one for E and then one for T. That is how we encode the set thing. And yeah, then we will have 4 bytes, 4 bytes, shit, my bad, 4 bytes, 4 bytes for this same thing. This will also say 3 in binary in little endian notation, and then 3 bytes K E Y, and then 4 bytes again for the value, for the size of the value sz, and then the value itself. And whatever the length is of this whole payload, that will be in here using 4 bytes, the whole size, like 4 bytes plus 3 bytes plus 4 plus 3 plus 4 plus whatever the size of the main value is, that will be here, the total size. So this is what the client sends to the server, and depending on the type of the request, the server sends okay, and then maybe a payload, maybe not a payload, because using a set only needs to return okay and not any value or something. But when we do get, then a value will be returned by the server. Right, that is cool. That's cool. Yeah, McLaren is, I don't know what is happening with McLaren. He came fourth in sprint. Shit, you also follow F1. That is nice. That is cool. And there are just a lot of things in F1, the different things, different trophies and everything. And yeah, so we have two numbers, and M, N is for the number of swords. Shit, I don't know how I missed this thing. Maximum. I guess, yeah, I was just not reading the thing correctly. Yeah, I was in some headspace. Okay, and then we have three vectors, N for swords, or yeah, now I will write this in my own way. Multiset of integers A. We don't give a size to a multiset, but yeah, and BI and CI. Tuple. We're saying we need a tuple. I say we don't need a tuple. Can we do it in just some other way? The whole concept would be the same that tourist has done, but just in the in a different way. Can we do it without the tuple? For, hmm, 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 hmm. Can we do this without a tuple? We need, I guess we can use a pair. Should we can literally not use a pair, because we need to know the index at the end of the original numbers, and we need to know BI and CI. I guess we can use a tuple. Yeah, we'll use a tuple, but we will use a tuple directly. We won't create different things. But while in a contest, we don't actually like focus on nitty-gritty details like this, like optimizing for timers. We do optimize for time, but not uh, but in terms of big O notation, not in like what is the constant factor. So okay, we have a tuple of three integers, and the first one will be yes, whether we are getting something or not getting something, which we don't even need. Yes, shit. We can use a pair. 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 Yes, let's go. We can use a pair, and we'll call this monsters, and size would be n pair int. And for int I equals 0, I less than mi plus plus cn monsters weapons. Yes, in the second part, we'll begin in the second part. For int I equals 0, I less than mi plus plus cn monsters I dot pulse. Okay, and then we will sort monsters dot r begin and monsters dot r end. That is nice in the reverse order. And shit. No, no, no. Begin and end with 5 because we want the monsters. No, no, shit. We first want the monsters which do give us something. So sorting monsters in descending order is nice. Yeah, sorting monsters in descending order is nice. And we can share, we can even write a custom function which will take in two pairs, auto P1 and auto P2. Okay. Given from P17, you said, yeah, position 17. So Lando Norris. Okay, and if yeah, if Pi dot first, we need to check if they are non-zero or not. If not, this, or we can convert this into a bool. Boolean dot first and convert into bool P2 dot first. And here, what do we have? We have P1 dot first and P2 dot second. If either both of these, the first value is the damage of the sword, which is returned. So if they are not the same, that is, one pair returns us something and one does not, then we will return true if P1 is, yeah, we will return true if P1 is giving us something. Return true if P1 dot first. That makes sense. But if they are equal, that is, both give us something or both do not give us something, then we will go by defeating the smaller monster first. Yeah, we will go by defeating the smaller monsters first. That would be return P1 dot second smaller than P2 dot second. Yeah, that is nice. Citizens and LSP is working monsters. LSP end and end response equals to 0 for auto B, comma C in monsters. Yeah, B is the health of the monster and C is the thing that we get in return. And then we'll see auto. Okay, shit. For int, we never took in the health, the damage of the swords in the first place. My bad. Shit. Not C, we are not using C, so yeah, we can use C. A dot insert C. Okay, auto IT equals A dot lower bound, not slower bound. Lower bound for B, the smallest, yeah, for the health of the monster. IT is the smallest sword which has a damage equal to or higher than B, then with what is required. If IP is not equal to A dot N, then yeah, then we will be able to kill this monster. That is nice. So A answer or response plus plus and A dot erase IP, and if we do get something by killing this monster, if C and shit, before erasing we need the value in val equals go to IP, so A dot insert if C and we won't return. Yeah, if C does exist, if C does exist and C is greater than the thing that we're getting, which is IT, the sort that we're using, only then we will do A dot erase IT and A dot insert C. That makes sense, and since we are getting maximum, so yeah, that is good. We out rest and shit. Okay, what is this case? Unsolvable. Uh, Return Boolean. Yes, Boolean is something that we are returning. Boolean is the thing. In installation of lambda function, we messed up with our lambda function. How did you mess up with our lambda function? This is a pair of integers. Okay, shit. Okay, okay. I guess here, yeah, that was the thing, and we messed up a few times. So yeah, the answer is wrong. Water. That's right. Did you not sort properly? Why is a macro recording? Okay, we did not sort properly. I guess here we said one that we will be able to kill two one things, even though we can kill more than one thing. Here we have three swords and two monsters. Three swords and two monsters. Maximum. Pi dot second. Second. Yes, pi dot second. Second is second is the damage which is required to kill this monster. So what is the problem with this? See out monsters 0 dot first. Yeah, 0 not first. That should be enough information. Compile, and we have just one test case which has three swords and two monsters, and the three swords are 2 2 2, and the three monsters are two, and the two monsters are 2 and 3, which give us 3 and 2. And this is 3, and the answer is 1. 3 is first, which is what we get. Okay, that is nice. So if C is greater than what we get at IT, then erase IT and insert C. So that should also have what? C out C. Compile, we just have one test case which has three swords, two monsters. Then three swords are this, 2 and 3, 3 and 2. Okay, 2, 2, 2 does not actually work. And this is like 1 and 1. Yeah. Compile, we just have one test case which has three swords, two things, and 2 2 2. Then 2 3 3 2. Okay, 3 2 2 3, 3 2 2 3, 3 2 first. Okay, shit, my mistake. Here we have to change the order. Yeah, the first thing is C, the second thing is B, and here we are looking for C. We are looking for B, and yes, everything is the same as it should be, and that does work. Let's submit this. C. Yep. Let's go. Let's submit and and fail. If IT is not equal to the end, and huh, monsters I second. That is amazing. Uh, and P1 is the one at like which is appearing first, and we will return true if P1 is something, and we will return false if P1 is 0, right? Right, and if P1 and P2 are like, if both of them give us something and or both of them give us nothing, then we will first take the one with a smaller kill radius, if you will. How can this fail? Ah, shit. Okay, we are taking in the input mm, correctly, and we are also sorting correctly, and then res equals 0, B, C, and B. C is the health of the sword that we will get in return, and B is the health of the monster which we are right now trying to kill, and A dot lower bound B, get the smallest sword which we can use to kill the monster with the health B, makes sense. And if IT is not equal to the end of A, that is there is something in IT, then we will increase our answer by 1. And if C, if we are getting something and shit, that makes sense. If Ci is greater than 0, Only then we will get the maximum. Otherwise, we gain nothing. If C0 is nothing. Okay, shit. If not C, only then check. If not C, if C is 0, then we'll just erase. Then we will just erase. Right. It will work here. Yes. And it should also work now. Yeah. Let's see dungeons. Submit. Okay. Test 3. That is better than 2. Shit. Okay. That is even better. And we are using 8 MB of space. 8 MB is quite a lot of space. 8 MB is actually quite a lot of space. Can we optimize? Let's see. Can we optimize? Here we are using 3 data structures. One is a multiset and one is a vector of pairs. I guess we can we use reserve using reserve on a multiset does not make a lot of sense. Yeah, it does not make a lot of sense, I guess, because we are not storing things in continuation. We have nodes in a red black tree which are, yeah, all over the place. So yeah, using reserve on multiset does not make a lot of sense, but maybe we can use reserve on monsters. Reserve the maximum size of the monsters which we can get is 10 power 5, let's say. 2 in or 2e5 plus 1, just in case. Let's see, that might help in reducing the space. Right now, 0 KB. Mm-hmm. Okay, shit. This and can we optimize at some other place? Well, if we want to optimize for its space, these two things are the only things where we are having some space issues. Everything else is just normal singular constants. Okay. Yeah, yeah, much better than 8,000. Shit, that is not a help, but we are wasting a lot of time here, it seems. I guess we can even optimize this a little bit, but we don't need to. Yeah, this is fine. This is fine. This is fine. And now we can move on to the gaming part. Now we will work on a game. Not we do not want to kill. Attach target game. Yes. Shit. Into 25 for 72 into 25. That would be shit. 1400 plus 40, 1440 plus 72 into 5, 300, 350, 360, 360 plus 1440, 1740 plus 60, 1800. Let's see. Wait, processing. Shit, okay. That is correct. Okay, okay. That is nice. That is nice. Ah, shit. Okay, I mispressed here and submitted the wrong, submitted null. Okay, that is nice. We can, yeah, this is our main function. That is nice. And the problem that we are facing with this game, there are a few problems. And yes, we are just completely switching from Codeforces to game development in C++. That is fine. That is what we call autodidactism or something. Okay, there are a few problems. First problem is, let's see, first of all, the game. Make slash bin debug and game of life. Cool. Okay, let me reduce the cell size. Yeah. So first problem that we have to fix is this. When we are dragging the mouse like this, our our function is not able to get the lengths or the positions of the cursor fast enough to update every cell that the mouse is visiting. If I'm moving slowly, then the game is able to get the mouse's position quickly, but when we increase the speed of the mouse, we don't get everything. Yeah. So yeah, there are like things missing in the middle, and that is because the library that we are using right now is relib, and relib gives us a function for getting mouse positions, and that function is called, okay, shit. Someone made a PR, like a friend made a PR, and I haven't read the code after the PR. Update help dialog box. That is crazy. Okay, and why is all of this outside this function? That is fine. Take grid position, and there is a function update help dialog box. Nope. Render grid. Nope. Is mouse down? Yes. Yes. Change cell function. This change cell function here is calling this function get mouse position function, and relib is updating this function in accordance with the FPS of the game, and while taking the input, the FPS is at 120 hertz, and therefore this function is being updated 120 times per second, but our mouse might be moving faster than that. So we are missing quite a lot of cells. So what we can do is manually ask the operating system without using the library for the coordinates of the mouse, and then get the coordinates of the application window, this window on which the mouse is running, and just calculate where the mouse relatively would be on the window, and then update the cells that the mouse is passing over. So that is nice. That is nice. I guess there is no way. I asked ChatGPT, and it turns out there is no way to increase the accuracy for this get mouse position function from Relib itself. So we have to do some manual operating system begging for the position thing. And for that, we will have to see. Yeah, shit, I don't know how to write that. We'll have to see. So we are refactoring this. And one more thing, this code, this change cell function is running once every frame. So if this is running at 120 hertz, then this function is running 120 times per second. But we want this to run as fast as this can. So we will run this thing on a separate thread, which will keep updating the state of the game. And whenever we render a new frame onto the screen, that will take the latest state and put it onto the screen. That makes sense. So, yep, here we will create a new thread. And shit, I don't like this. Shit, this two spaces for a tab. Like what? And the my friends with whom I'm working on this project, they have their default tab spaces as two, which is crazy. And I guess I will have to give in because they are two and I'm a single human, and both of them, we are three people working on this. and they have this kind of tab spaces, and I have like what I prefer is 8 spaces. This, but they are two, and I'm one. So shit, my voice will be down, and I would have to work with this. Okay, so we will put a separate thread which will run this function, and see options tabs top two. I guess it should be fine now. Okay, this is not fine. Okay, cd thread uh, update cells. I guess is a nice thing, and yeah, we will put this whole is mouse press logic into a separate function. We'll call this. This doesn't take anything. It will only take a grid. Yeah, it will only take the grid. That is the only thing which is required by this function. And mouse position, and this will take a standard vector of integers, but this cannot take a reference. This will therefore take a pointer to the grid. Okay, change cell function is what? Go to there and send this, and here we will have a thread mouse thread, or update thread, or state thread, or update thread. Yeah, we'll call this update thread, and the function that runs is take mouse position, and the argument is address of the grid, pointer to the grid. Okay, thread is not included, I guess. Looks nice. Yep, looks nice, and we don't want this to just run once, so we will have internally while to keep running this, but this will fail here when we want to exit this whole thing in edit mode. Wait, in edit mode is true, in edit mode is false, and where is in edit mode? Initially, why is it false? Initially it will be true, and while in edit mode, keep updating. That is nice, and when this fails, then that is also nice. And here we'll wait for the thread to join, so update thread dot join. That is nice. So once the thread joins, we'll get out of this. 4 is best. Even your tab space is crazy shit. 4 is, but this 2 is like too small, and shit, 117. You remember something from 117? The last, this B function from the last contest, it had 117 and as one of the examples. 17, 117, and 1117. Okay, so now we have the main thread which is rendering everything onto the screen, and we have an update thread which is updating the state. So we are updating the state very quickly on a separate thread, but we are rendering only according to like 60 or 40 or whatever the FPS is. That is nice. And but here, okay, so that is part of the problem solved. But the more difficult part is this. We have to fix this. Get mouse position function, because this is updating not very fast enough. Look at this. Make life. And yes, this does work, right? But here, if we were to svg cout x location, send location dot x and space location dot y, and a little new line here. What is the cout is not included. And now look here. Shit, that is high definition location. But look at this. A lot of them are same. Most of them are same, right? So even though our thread is running very quickly for updating states, but our get mouse position function is not very fast. So we have to do something about that. And shit, we are getting location in decimals that I did not know, which is crazy. In 3 points of decimal. That is nice. That is nice. And then we are reducing that to normal integers. Make and run. Yep, most of them are same. So yeah, that is crazy. The get mouse position function is not updating quickly, fast enough. And also look at this CPU. Why is this simple game taking 180% of the CPU? Like it is taking more than one core. So we also have to fix that. First of all, let's fix the mouse issue. Mouse is crazy. Yo, yo. What is the question? This is not a question. It is a project. Uh, Game of life. Shit, maybe I can add something here. Text. Yes, text, and that would be game of life. Shit, that is too big. Game of life. Shit, that is nice. That is nice. Still a little too big, I guess. Game of life. Railib by Reason 5. Reason 5 is a nice human being. That is nice. The shit RAY is under. Yeah, that is cool. So this is what we are doing right now. And okay. And I tried to use, there is a macOS syscall to get positions for the cursor, but it is not working. And let me show you. Stuff in mouse application specific code. Here I had a file, and this file is not doing anything. This just has a main function, and this returns 0. And this code I copy pasted from ChatGPT, and here I'm simply including this library which has functions for making syscalls on macOS for getting cursor positions. And if I make this thing, right, g++ main.cpp out, compile this, and I guess there are some flags, which flags are required on Mac OS to compile application, uh, application services dot h, application services dot h. There are some flags compiling code in OS X framework application services. Okay. Okay, what is framework flag? But anyways, G++ and framework application services, and we have main.cpp and output out, and this doesn't compile, and we are not even calling any function. We are not even calling any function. We are just trying to compile this H file. So this is like incompatible with itself. Yes. An include file, main file cannot be included recursively when building a preamble. Shit, is this hi services.h? Hi services.h. Yeah. And I guess the this thing is happening because of the new Mac OS update of Tau Mac OS 2026. I think that is the problem. Or let's use Clang++, which shouldn't help in any way, but anyways, application services main./out. Shit. Shit. Okay, this is compiling. This is shit. Okay, because G++ does not know where to get the stuff from. Clang knows that. Shit. So this changing from operating system. Ah, shit. Okay. So we have to use the compiler which is native to the operating system that we are working with. I truly believe in what you believe, that anyone can do amazing things. That was one of the reasons I don't take these courses sold online to become good at DSA. Yes, I want to prove one can become good by solving and practicing questions. Yes, and one thing that I would like to add is I naively believed that we can add as much restrictions as you want and still we will be able to do the final thing, but we cannot. Like, we need patience and time is also one of the most is also very important, right? So, and yes, that is why I said, okay, I will get to 2000 by the end of this year. Just getting to 2000 is difficult enough, and then saying that I will get to 2000 by the end of the year is just too much for someone to do, right? So yeah, there has been now a little bit of more maturity, but yeah, the basic thing is same. We can do whatever you want given long enough time, right? With patience and also like no distraction. And yeah, so we need to use here the native compiler, which can be given to us using the CC, which is CC function, which is the native compiler, and framework application services main.cpp out, and I guess that should work. That does work. So we can call the function. Let's go to ChatGPT because I don't think we should go into the whole Apple system call functions to see everything. Hello, I want to get, and yes, we won't go and understand how this whole thing works, but we will at least understand the things, the functions that we are using ourselves. So that would be good enough. So hello, I want to get cursor position on Mac OS in a C++ program. Help. Mac OS, and most reliable way is to use core graphics. Core CG, wait, core graphics example and run. And also we have to make sure that it is just me who is using macOS, and this game will run on Linux and also on Windows. So we have to check the operating system and change the functions. Right. Let's use this core graphics library. What is this for? On macOS, the easiest and most reliable way to use is to use the core graphics framework, part of Quartz. Okay, I've heard Quartz is something. Shit, Quartz is the display manager in Mac, I guess. Mac OS display server or display server, display server. Quartz compositor, yes, Quartz is a display server. So this is like VLAN equivalent here. It provides functions for interacting with the low level display and input features, and it works cleanly in C or C++. Here is how you can do it. Okay, we will include the thing and CG event ref, create event null pointer, cursor get event location event, release event, and the position would be cursor.x, cursor.y. Okay, let's just do this. And include iOS stream, compile and run, and does not compile because the function that you are using for compilation is not good. Main.cpp, not G++, CC framework. Okay, shit. Include core graphics, core graphics.else. Maybe we can compile linker error. Linker error. Some object files are not being found. Can we compile this without anything? Okay, it is compiling without anything, but with the code here, auto um, event get event CG event CG like computer graphics event create null pointer and CG event get location and CF release. Okay, here it was CG and now it is CF somehow. CG event create null pointer and auto cursor equals cp event get location of event and then cf release event and then stt out event dot x space event dot y. Okay, yes, yeah, substitute event with cursor and let's explicitly use Clang++ framework and okay, shit. Okay, our cursor was there. Okay, we are getting cursor positions, so that is nice. Let's see the frame rate at which we are getting this. Shit. So this is compiling when we are using clang plus plus or slash out. And okay, shit. This is not this is not even updating. Shit, do we have to create a new event every time? Yes. Okay. Okay, this is fast. This is fast. This is fast. This is fast. This is good. This is good. This is updating quickly. So that is nice. That is nice. That is nice. How do we get the like clang plus plus framework application services? Okay, that is what we have to include. Cool. And right, so we now have a way of getting position for the cursor. Now we need to have a way to get position of the screen, and also we will have to know what these functions actually do so that we can debug if some problem arises. But first of all, let's get this running. How can I get the coordinates of the application application yeah application that is running of the window that is opened by the program. Excellent shit. On macOS, unlike Windows X or 11, there is no direct standard C. Okay, because window management goes through Cocoa, Apple's Objective-C framework. Even if you write C++ code, you need to call into Cocoa through this to get a manipulated shit your apps. Window geometry. What kind of window? First, let's clarify what open. Okay, yeah, that is a nice question. If you are using GUI toolkit, I'm using Raylib, using toolkits on API, or we can use Cocoa framework, which we don't want to use. Before moving, I will have to go to the washroom and I will be right back in 1 minute and we will continue the game. And yes, the screen is not stuck. That is pretty cool. Just 1 minute and I will be right back. And yep, we back. Let's go. Okay. I'm using Raylib. And I guess there's a lot that I do not yet know. Okay, Raylib provides get window position function. So, cheat sheet. Make the window full screen and then minimize, maximize, resize, state, set, get, get window handle, get window position returns a vector. Okay, we can use this function, get the window's position. And we can use this to get uh, the mouse position. Okay, and their coordinate system is same. That is what we are going to assume, that their coordinate system. Okay, let's see. Target game and change cell location. I think we should move this function somewhere else because this is going to use get mouse position. Okay, or we can create a new file, OS or platform specific.cpp. And shit, I already had this code here. That is nice. Get window position and okay. Wait. Shit. Uh, Mouse position. We will have to create an event internally, or we don't need a while loop. That makes sense. Cursor location, or we'll just call it cursor. And after this, we'll use vector to get window position. Uh, this is our function. Get with G capital. Vector to window equals get window position. Okay, and let's say return, or we will update the things in the window vector, window dot x minus equals from window dot x equals uh, mouse x coordinate would be the cursor dot x minus window dot x, and y coordinate would be cursor dot y minus window dot y. Okay, non-constant expression cannot be narrowed from CG float, aka what does this thing have? This thing is of type CG point. CG point, CG point, CG float. CG float is CG float type, which is a double. Okay, so this is a double. We can convert this into a double and double. And what does vector have? We can convert them. This is a float. Okay, don't we have double vectors? No, we don't. Double, double get time, and yeah, we don't have double vectors. We will convert this into a float, and this was already a float, so we don't have to convert this. Okay, and then return mouse. And this might just fail. We will have to see. This returns a vector with two-dimensional vector. And shit, this might not even compile. Instead of get mouse, we will use the mouse position function, for which we have to include the library. It is called OS specific.cpp, uh, platform specific.cpp. That is literally the name of the file. Ah, and not found is crazy. Include platform. File not found. How? Yeah, I guess it will just work. I guess. Okay, platform is specific, file not found. It is not there, which does make sense. Where is this file? Echo pwd present working directory game make sense. Application is specific, there it is here. It is platform specific is here, yeah. Move to source. Helper.cpp is included in platform specific. It is there now. Platform specific, and this. Okay, and this should now work. Hopefully. Okay, this is working. Let's see. That seems to be taking quite a bit of CPU. Okay, but this is better than before, but not very better. Look at this. This is so much of the CPU. This is taking quite a bit of CPU. That is bad. That is not very good. A lot of CPU is going for this. But still, perfection is not there. In Excalidraw, when we draw a line, look at this. no segments from the middle of the line are like not there. Everything is there. No matter how fast you are moving your mouse, the line is not like getting segmented and getting cut off from the middle. But here in the game of life, look at this. All of this is lost. And this is very slow. This is shit. This might also hinder in the stream. Okay, a few frames have been dropped. Maybe this also lagged. Yeah, this is not very good. This is not very good. This is not very good. So CG event create null. We are getting the window position and the cursor position. We are getting the mouse position also, which is nice. Here we are getting the mouse position, which is nice. But even this is not updating fast enough. Even this is not updating fast enough. Okay, we will fix the fastness issue later in a while. Before that, we have to see why is the game lagging. Not lagging, but why is it taking so many resources? Yeah, this is lagging. This is lagging. And okay, frames are not being dropped. This is lagging. This is taking a lot of resources. This is taking, yes, a lot of resources. Game of life. This is taking a lot of resources. This is taking a lot of resources. We have to refactor stuff. Killed, alive, neighbor. Yeah. Let's change the FPS. It is okay. Yes, we can please make this 60 FPS. And yeah, I guess this will take less resources and same performance. Okay, at least the same number of cells are being colored, which is nice, but still, this is taking a lot of resources. The FPS is half of what used to be, but it's still, ah, this is too bad. Dialogue margin share, that is cool. Render grid update as no, no, no. We have to do some optimizations. Okay. What are we doing? In our main function, we are initializing the screen, right? And then vector, grid, columns, rows and columns. Yes, rows and columns. And yeah, one of the problems is that for each iteration, we are drawing things on the screen. And even though we are like our screen is very small and we are only drawing rectangles on the screen, doing this 60 times a second, even though there is no change, is taking a lot of resources. I guess we can fix that. I guess we can actually fix that, or we can at least simulate by, let's say, 2 FPS. Let's see if FPS is the thing that is taking resources. Let's see. Uh, okay, it is like much better than before. We have this game running at 2 FPS. So even though the cells are getting updated, we are not visually able to see them. Shit, yeah. This is literally not working now. And we will have to forcefully kill this. Game of life. Kill. Game of life. Yeah. Terminated. So, okay, we also have to see if update, if there is a update in the state, only then render like react. This is like react. Yeah, this is like react. Let's see if that is the issue. I have a simple game of life game in Railway, and we have 60 FPS, and we are drawing the whole screen every time uh, for every frame. Is it too much of an intensive task to update the screen 60 times a second? 60 times a second. Good question. Okay. Yes, this is what we have. No, we do not have 1000 by 1000 grid. Our grid is 80 by 80. Our grid is 80 by 80. 70 by 70, not even 80 by 80. So even a potato should be able to do this 1000 times a second. Hmm. So we are messing up somewhere fundamentally. The bottleneck often comes from the API calls, not math. If you call, okay, draw a rectangle function 1 million times per second, that is a million CPU, GPU draw says way too much. If you call, even if each call is fast, the overhead stacks up. Okay, instead you should batch your drawing using draw texture rectangle on a single texture, or draw the whole grid to an off screen image and then render that once. That makes sense. Okay, so right now I suppose we are uh, which we are calling this function call, and this is telling the GPU to make rectangles one by one, but we can batch them together so that we get the whole state, and then we say make this whole image instead of saying make this pixel, this pixel, this pixel. That would be better. Or use a render texture. Yeah, load render texture. Okay, texture now makes sense. Only update pixels that changed using update texture. Okay, GPU versus CPU work, the game of life. Logic updating cells is bitwise maths. Yeah, it is. Wait, we can use bitwise math. Bit. How can we tell the next state using bitwise math? That is like actually kind of crazy. We can use bitwise math. The drawing is what kills you. What kills you if done naively. Okay, so we'll optimize the drawing part. And how can we use bitwise math to get the new state? That is crazy. What is actually too much? Redrawing the whole screen 60 times per second. Is it inherently expensive? That is literally what 3D games do. Shit. What is expensive is doing is it inefficiently. Efficiency with thousands of tiny. We right now have 64,000 or 49,000 calls. Okay. I am using draw rectangle API call 49,000 times per frame at 60 FPS. Is that bad? Yeah, that is not catastrophic, but it is way more than ideal. What? How Raylib does. Okay, what is handling under the hood? Draw rectangle is a GPU side draw call that sends geometry 4 vectors plus color to the GPU, even if Raylib batches some of it internally. It does, but not infinitely. Each call it still pushes a few floats to the GPU command buffer. Might trigger internal batching or flushing for 9 frames per second. You are asking the CPU to do a lot of tiny functions. Okay, practical effect. You are likely fine right now. 700 by 700 pixels. You are on a modern hardware. It might run smoothly, but it is extremely inefficient. It is inefficient. Better approach is draw an image buffer or render texture. Maintain a color pixel width height each frame loop through your grid and set pixels to cell white or black. Pixels is going to be an array. Okay, then and call update texture function. Finally, draw texture once per frame. Okay, we do not want to call draw function again and again. That is one thing. That is just one drop call per frame instead of 49,000. Okay, this is one thing. Draw an image CPU buffer or use render texture. Let's use render texture. Create a render texture 2D offset buffer. Draw only when cells change. When the grid updates, render only the changed parts. Optional. Then call the draw texture rectangle. So render texture is something in Raylib, which we can see if raylib.com, go to examples. Yep. And we shit. Yep. Textures. Yeah. Raylib textures. Basic example. Let's copy paste this whole thing. Raylib. Go there. cd raylib in textures.ppp and shit. Copy. Paste. And okay, so what do we have? Main entry point, screen width, screen height, initialize, which we will change this. Textures and note textures must be loaded after window initialization. OpenGL is required. Okay, sources, raylib logo.png. Okay, we also need raylib logo.png. Raylib logo.png. Okay, so where do we get that? Uh, okay, shit. Fog of war. Arrow keys to move. Shit, that's nice. That is nice. Okay, we can even create this thing. current tile. Okay, the current tile that we are at. And use arrow keys to move. And we are clearing the fog, I suppose. People have made like crazy games in Railib. Okay, what is this? Don't tell me we can draw. Should we can actually draw? Okay, this is making circles. This is making circles. Okay, I guess Excalibur has a competitor. Image saved. Shit. And we even have this, whatever this is. Okay, where do we get the texture files from this thing? Resources. Yes, resources. We don't have resources. Where do we get the resources? Relib support languages. Relib math. Relib GL. Relib PNG. Relib math. And are the resources here? Platform external. Uh, wait, how do we have Notepad plus plus in Relib? Examples. Yes, in example and textures, resources. Yes, that is the thing that we want. And here we have Raylib. Yep, Raylib logo.png. This is what we want. We'll just download this single thing onto shit programming ah stuff. Raylib. Yeah, cool. Make the resources and move raylib.png into resources. Cool. And main.cpp, not main.cpp but textures.cpp. Okay, okay, we are including this thing, and this is texture 2D. Texture 2D is texture 2D. Texture is something which has height, which has 5 integers: an ID, OpenGL texture ID, a width, a height, and a MIP maps, MIP map, MIP map levels 1 by default and data format. Okay, okay. And then here begin drawing clear background and draw texture, the photo from above. Okay, and white, and draw text. This is a texture. And then deinitialize, unload. Okay, so here we load and then we unload the texture. Shit, no, okay, this is a texture. Okay, so we can, what is a texture? Then we'll have to see. Render texture. 2D. Render text 2D. Begin texture mode. Load render texture 2D, which has an ID, a texture, and a depth texture. And texture is just the normal thing. Okay, so how do we work with the texture? How do we work with the texture? Texture 2D, load texture, here file name. Okay, and then from image. Okay, let's see some examples for texture. Okay, here you can do this, and then shit. We have a we have something. Initial window. Okay, so we know how to render a image. Let's render some other images. Yeah, sinners. Yes, let's go. Poster. We will render this poster onto Relive. And sinners is a like very nice movie. Images into resources. We will say this is uh, sinners.png. Uh, okay, use JPEG. Sinners.jpg and shit. That does work. That does work. That is cool. That is cool. We also have this. This is a texture written here. That is cool. Even though it is going out of screen, but yeah, sinners. That is cool. We can increase the height. Increase the height by 350. 358. Shit. 100. Cool. That does work. So we can have photos. That is nice. Let's copy this and we'll run with this. And this thing is a SVG, I suppose. That is a PNG, which I guess does not have borders. So here we'll say texture, and here we'll load sinners.png dot jpeg, and compile and run, and shit, yes, that is working beautifully. What we have: frame height, frame width, and frame scarify dot width divided by 6. Load texture, which is a 2D texture, width divided by 6. So we are dividing this width by 6. Let's say we are not dividing the width by 6. What happens? Then we have the whole thing rotating with Haley Steinfeld in the middle. Uh, Source rectangle part of the texture to use for drawing. Okay, they are calling image a texture. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. And 0, 0, they are creating a rectangle out of this thing. And screen width by 2. source rectangle and destination rectangle. Okay, part of the texture to use for drawing destination rectangle is screen rectangle, where drawing part of texture 0 0 starting, and then frame width, and then frame height. Okay, frame width and then frame height. A rectangle has four components: x coordinate and y coordinate, like the places where it will go, and the width and the height. Okay, so it starts from the top left, and the width is the same as the image, and the height is the same as the image. And then the destination rectangle, which will start from the middle of the screen. Okay, and shit, why is its width and height like, yeah, like this, like twice? Shit, I messed up. Um, textures dot cpp, and let's see now. Hmm. Hmm. Let's see the whole thing first. Vector 2 origin, a vector with two dimensions. We are calling it origin. Origin is the frame width and the frame height. Okay, that is the origin. Rotation equals 0, FPS, and rotation plus plus. Okay, and then with every frame, clear background, make it white, and then note, using draw texture pro, we can easily rotate and scale the part of the texture we draw. Oh yeah, draw texture pro, scarify, draw this thing. Okay, we are calling the draw function here. Draw texture pro, destination from here, draw this texture from this thing onto this thing, source to destination, and origin. Using draw texture pro, we can easily rotate and scale the part of the texture we draw. Source resources. Source rectangle defines the part of the texture we use for drawing. And shit, yes, I'm also streaming. I forgot, my bad. There is a stream going on. Yes. So right now what we are trying to do is we are just learning what texture is. And I guess texture just means we have images. They are calling images textures. The thing with Relib is it does not come with documentation. The Relib has these examples which we have to read and learn from. And cheat sheet, which is nice. Cheat sheet, which has a little explanation here. But what I don't get is what is textures themselves. Like, what is a texture? For which we can go to ChatGPT. Really, what is a texture? Is it simply an image from the disk? Shit, that is excellent. The simple mental model, a texture is just a 2D array of pixels that lives on the GPU. Okay, that is nice. That is a very good explanation for a texture. Okay, that is it. It can come from a file, PNG, or created in memory, or be updated by a program at runtime. Okay, so yes, an image from disk can be a texture, but not every texture comes from disk. That is nice, and that makes sense. That is actually like food. And okay, image comes from the CPU because CPU is the one which fetches image from the disk, and GPU VRAM. Shit. Texture 2D. Okay. Texture 2D. And here what we have is not texture 2D. It is texture 2D. The same image but uploaded to GPU for fast a 2D array of pixels in manipulated directly in your C code, or texture 2D, same image but uploaded to GPU for fast rendering. You cannot directly poke its pixels from the CPU side. You have to use update texture to modify it. Okay, load and create an image. Load and create an image, and then load texture from image. We can create a texture out of the image and draw texture to draw the texture. Okay, let's remove everything. Yeah, here we'll have, and also we have to fix the indentation. Texture 2D is a type, and we'll call image and load texture and the address for a file. Resources sinners.jpg. And this, what is this going to do? This is going to create a pixel map of this image that we have passed in. That is 2. And then while not window should close, while the window is open, what we will do is, yeah, we will do something. And at the end, we will close window. And here we don't actually do anything, right? Clear background. We'll clear the background and make it equal to black, like, yeah, black. And then begin drawing and draw texture 2D. Okay, this will be the texture. Texture is called image. The x position would be 0. The y position is 0. And tint, tint, tint is a type of color. Tint, orange. And then end drawing. Let's see. Okay, this does not work. File loaded successfully. And why don't we see anything? Init window, begin drawing, draw texture, image is from. Okay, so we need some other stuff other than this simple texture thing. What do we need? What else? Yes, we do have a texture. Clear background, draw texture there, draw text and drawing. This is what we are doing. So what is the problem? Maybe the resource, yeah, the location. Resources slash winners.jpg. Okay, it does exist. Wait, it was in a small case. I thought suppose was that the problem? Okay, that was not the problem. Process exited. Why? Data loaded successfully and then the process exited. Load texture. Wait, is load texture the yes, load texture is the uh, thing. And then texture 2D image, right? Then pass in the texture, the place where and the tint where. This is where. And texture dot screen width divided by 2 and texture dot width divided by 2, screen width divided by 2. We take the whole width of the screen, we divide that by 2. We have okay, and from this we are subtracting texture width divided by 2. Okay, so we are centralizing this thing. No. Mm. Screen width divided by 2 and image dot width divided by 2 and screen height divided by 2 minus image dot height divided by 2. And this also fails. We are simply loading a texture. What is the problem? Init window texture. Okay, that was also not the problem. While not window should close. And we did call the init window function before beginning. Set FPS. My bad. 60. Okay, shit, that is also not the problem. Yes. So we have to call the init window function, then set FPS after init window, but we don't even see the window. Everything happens, load texture happens after the window. No, the texture must be loaded after window initialization. OpenGL context is required. Okay. Okay, shit, that was the problem. Shit, my bad. And if you don't have FPS, what will happen? Okay, it will just, I guess, get some default FPS. And yes, we do have sinners. Can we change the height according to the image so that they overlap exactly? There must be something. Is window ready? Is window full screen? Is window hidden? Minimize, maximize, focused, resize. Is window resized? Is window state? No. Set show icons. Okay, set window min size, set window max size. Get window screen, get window, get a screen height. Can we set window size? Yes, that is what we need. Set window size. After getting this, set window size. Width would be image dot width and height would be image dot height. Like the size of the window would be the same as the size of the image that we are displaying, and shit, that is cool. That is cool. That is cool. A simple program to display a movie poster. Sinners. Michael B. Jordan's. There are like multiple of Michael B. Jordan. Yes, that is a project. Quartz is Hyperland. Yes. And Bruce from Germany. Guten Tag. Yo. Hello. What do you do when you cannot debug something in your project? I'm losing my shit. No kidding. Shit. We just have to like think thing. Yeah, ask ChatGPT. Yeah, that is some way. Yes, NeoVim. NeoVim is amazing. We can use it anywhere. If we get a terminal, just use NeoVim. Yeah, and here texture just means a pixel representation, 2D pixel representation of a image. And is that like the general definition of a texture? Available. Texture means presentation of a 2D matrix for pixel value. Is that the general representation of a, because I have only heard texture in context of Minecraft, and in Minecraft texture means your water looks like real water. That, yeah, this is texture in Minecraft. So shit, this also is a like grid of pixels. So I guess that is a general definition. Exactly. Sure. At its core, a texture is really a 2D matrix array of pixel values through which a few extra details. Once you step into GPU land, let's unpack that precisely. Okay, so 2D vector in GPU land. What do they mean by in GPU land? Right, that is something. And yes, GPU land conceptually. Yes, in the most fundamental sense, a texture, a 2D array of core values, pixels. Each pixel might store RGB or RGBA values. Alpha. Alpha is like the big infected person in 28 years later. Or other data, grayscale, depth. Okay. So texture is simply a 2D representation, but yes, what do they mean by in the GPU world? On the GPU, textures aren't stored as naive 2D arrays in a row major order like in CPU memory. They are highly optimized, like tiled or swizzled in memory for cache efficiency, sometimes compressed. Okay, so GPU has better ways for storing 2D matrices, and when we use textures, here we get textures. Okay, that is cool. Texture 2D, 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 yes. And okay, so there are two ways. Either we can directly load texture like this, or image. Uh, Literal image is load image. The source is sinners.jpg, and here we will say texture 2D. Should we can also have 3D textures, it means, because we have 2D, so we should also have 3D. Image equals load texture from image, and we will pass in the literal image, compile and run, and shit. Okay, that also works. That is nice. That is nice. That is nice. Sinners, Michael B. Jordan. Michael, yeah, Jordan B. Michael. Okay, that is nice. So texture is image. Now, shit, that makes sense. So we can, before drawing the texture, we can change stuff, update the texture. Shit, yeah. Okay. Uh, Update texture. Okay, pass in the texture, and then pointer to pixels, constant pointer to pixels. Okay, how do we change literally the pixels? Because the texture does not give us a lot of stuff. Texture gives us width, height, and MIP, MIP, map values, one by default. Okay, so it is one. And format, we can see format, OpenGL texture ID. So OpenGL texture ID. Okay, okay. So yes, now what I have in mind is earlier we had our whole screen and we were drawing the cells cell by cell, cell by cell, cell by cell, right? And there are 80 rows, 70 rows right now, and 70 columns. So we were calling the draw rectangle function 70 by 70 49,000 times. Should 4900 times, my bad. 4900 times, 4900 times. That is not too much, but still, this would be optimized. Yeah, this would do some optimization at least. So instead of calling the function for drawing stuff onto the screen, we will have a in-memory representation of the screen, and we will make change to that in-memory representation, and we will say make this whole thing on the screen, which is like just like a React. Yeah, this is just like React. React has a virtual DOM. We update the virtual DOM and then we render it onto the actual DOM. And yo, yes, Conway's Game of Life. Let's go. And Blue Fire Games. Shit. CD Project Red. Okay, this is what we have. So now the question is, okay, so now we know how to load a texture and how to draw a texture. How can we edit a texture? We will use the update texture function, but it needs a pointer to pixels. What does that even mean? Pointer to pixels. Shit, okay, there is no location. Uh, get pixel data size. Huh? Let's see, where is this thing defined? This thing is here. Pixel format is something and which has all of these values, which is a enum starting from 1. Okay, now ChatGPT. Okay, we can have a in memory representation for our whole screen of rectangles as a texture, and then we can update that texture all the for all the cells and that, and then call draw texture on that. How do we update the textures, right? How do we update it? Okay, perfect, perfect. We are on the right way. Step one, you keep your entire Game of Life grid as a single in-memory pixel array. Pixel array. Right now we have it as a number array. Uh-huh. A texture buffer. Update the array each frame when the cell changes. Okay, send that new pixel data to the GPU in one go. Draw the texture. Okay, picture. This array is your in-memory screen. Each element corresponds to one pixel or cell. Okay, but one pixel. We are not representing one pixel with a. We are not representing a cell with a single pixel. But anyways, let's go with this. Update the GPU texture. Load texture from image. Get image color. Create an empty texture on the GPU to hold the same data. Okay, here we have a pointer to pixels, which is simply a pointer to colors. Update texture, void pointer. We are calling that pointer pixels. Okay, constant void pointer. You fill it with black or white depending on the game of life state. Create an empty texture on the GPU to hold the same data. Load texture from image and get image. Um, Generate image color black. Okay. And then update the texture in your cells, like update texture according to this thing. Okay. Okay. And malloc. Okay. Let's do this. Okay. Color pointer, we will call it pixels, and we will typecast this to constant, not constant. Constant is not very good. Color pointer, and malloc. Should we use? Let's use malloc for now, and we will have not a screen. Let's pause on rows equals 80 or 100, and const and calls also equals 100. And here, okay, malloc row into columns into size of color and shape. Okay, malloc is not included. That was the mistake. And pixels, we can individually go to a pixel and update that color. Okay, then we will create a texture 2D, and we'll call it texture. And load texture from image, and then generate image color. Yeah, generate image with a single color. Height is row, then width is columns, and the color would be white. Okay, we also have our texture where everything is white. Let's change some of the colors, some of the pixels. Pixels, this is a singular one-dimensional array. Yes, that it is. For int I equals 0, I less than n, not n, I less than row I plus plus. We will update a single column to be black, let's say. Yeah, and for that, pixels, we need uh, the column that we are changing would be, let's say, 50th column. And okay, so row into, or yeah, I into row. Let's see. I think that is okay. That is okay, and that should work. That equals black, and yes, that does work. Then we'll call update texture, where the texture is this, and then the pixels physics we want to update to. And yes, window is already like all, and shit, we can also resize the window. Set window size, where size would be, yeah, we'll do that later. begin drawing, begin to draw and draw texture, draw texture, pass in the texture. Okay, sir, I don't like this thing. Okay, position 0, make this also 0 and color as tint as white, whatever that means. And yeah, and drawing and full window and let's see. Hmm, everything is somehow black now. Let's not update and everything is still somehow black. Clear background, make everything white and everything is now white somehow. Shit. For int I equals 0, I smaller than rows, I plus plus, and it is not rows, it is row, singular. And we'll see pixels I into row plus with equal black. We are changing one column to be equal to black. And shit, we do change one column to be equal to black. But that is shit, we are only changing one pixel column to be equal to black. So we will have to use some more complicated. This is not very optimal, it seems. Like changing the pixels, changing the pixels does not look good. Yeah, changing the pixels does not look good. Or we can, I don't know if this is we can write a function which will take the coordinate at which we are supposed to draw a pixel, and that function will draw the pixel, draw the cell there. Let's say we won't have this. Yeah, we will not have this. Instead, here we will have, instead of rows and columns, we will make the whole screen a texture height into the screen width and rows and columns. Nope. Screen height and screen width. And what do we still have columns? And then, yeah, remove this. Remove this. So the whole screen is a texture now. And let's make it like 800 by 800. And we can write a little function that will take coordinates and let's say define cell size is 10. What does this 10 mean? 10 pixel by 10 pixel. Let's say it does mean 10. Okay, 10 pixel by 10 pixel makes, let's make this 20 by 20 pixel and we'll take a function draw cell. We'll write a function which takes in x and y and pointer to pixels, color pointer pixels, and yeah, and also the color see, like what should be the color of the set, and it will go to this coordinate x and y and draw the pixel. And shit, we also need to know the height and width of this pixel array because this is one dimensional. Share this, even though our screen is like this pixel array is one dimensional and there are slots. This is row 1, row 2, row 3, and so on. So depending on the row, we will have to change some equivalent slots, one cell in each equivalent slots. And we are supposing that the caller of the function is a good human being and is not giving us wrong things. Okay, so we'll start int x int x c cx current x equals x and cx smaller than equal to x plus cell size and x plus plus cx plus plus. I guess no, we won't make this equal to. This is fine. And yes, for int. Okay, this is fine. For int. Shit, is this fine though? We are running a loop for changing every cell. This is shit. This is not fine. But let's see. Let's see. For experimentation purposes, cy it starts at y, and while cy is smaller than y plus cell size and cy plus what will be the coordinate of this pixels. We need to know the original x and y width, height, height, and in width. Shit, and x into width plus y into height equals c. Shit, this might be this might be very bad. And we'll call this draw cell to create a cell at location 20, 20, starting from there, and send in pixels address of pixels and make all of this equal to black and original height and width, screen height and screen width. Okay, no matching function call. Oh, shit. Okay, this literally does not work. Yes, does not. Okay, this should have worked. This should have worked, but it does not work. This should have worked. We are changing pixels, pixel by pixel. Okay. For, for int I equals 0, I smaller than is. But shit, this should have worked. This should have worked when we are going pixel by pixel, and we are not even getting any out of bounds error here. We are changing each pixel to be the same color as the one that was given in. Maybe if we change the text, uh, this thing from white to, let's say we want the tint to be a little orangish. Nope, doesn't work. Then for entire equal 0, I smaller than screen height I plus plus, and we'll say pixels I into screen height plus 400 equals black. Okay, we are getting a line, but so what is the problem? What is the problem with it? Uh, x equals this and x plus size plus cell size. STDC out high h and okay, we are going into the loop, but we are not changing anything from there. Let's make this explicitly black, which I guess wasn't even the problem. Yeah, and that was not the problem. And even though this whole approach, the base of this approach is wrong, we do not want to go pixel by pixel. That is too much low level thing to do. Right. Yes. We'll have to figure something else out for that. Now we are just trying to make this function work for the sake of making this function work, because this should work when we are going cell by cell and we are updating stuff. Why is the stuff not being updated? If we were to put this thing into here, and instead of this, let's say height, and here height. Okay, the line is still there. The line is still there. I guess we are going way out of bounds. We are going way out of bounds. We are going way out of bounds. We are. Shit. How about, okay, shit, I hoped this might work. Wait, shit, no, no, no. We don't need to multiply, we need to take modulus. Yes, x modulo width. No, shit, we need to multiply, we need to multiply. Yeah, shit, yes, we need to multiply. 20 into 800 would be smaller than 800 into 800. Let's do 0 by 0 and still nothing. Maybe this would not be the problem, but yeah, this is not the problem. Let's try changing stuff in two different places, or three maybe. Make this like 399, and this one 411401, and yes, the line is thicker, that is 3 pixels. So why are we not able to do something similar here? I into height, I starts from 0, height and width are the same here, so yeah, that does not matter. Mm, Still does not work. Yes. Bruh. Okay, I want to make this work. See, x starts at x, the location where you want to put this cell, and smaller, while cx is smaller than cell size, right? And cy also starts at the bottom. That is nice. Pixels equals black, right? So why does this not work? Let's really see out x into height plus y. Really? And okay, everything is equal to 0 somehow. Okay, everything is equal to 0 somehow. Why? Why? It's not increasing. See, x is also not increasing. Shit. Okay. Yes, we are not changing x and y. We have to use here cx and cy, which are the current values of x and y. Shit. Okay, and yes, now we do have a cell there. Ah, shit. Okay, nice. It works now. Uh, yeah, make this 20 and make this one also 20. So with the offset of 20, yeah, cool. Let's put this in the middle of the screen. That would be like middle of the screen is screen width divided by 2. That is the middle of the screen, and in y coordinates, wait, in x coordinates, because this is width. And now we want to subtract from this the half. Yeah, minus cells I by 2, not 21, by 2, and here screen height by 2 and minus cells I by 2. Okay, and yeah, in the middle. Yeah, shit. Amazing. Cool. Amazing work. And shit. Okay, yes, this is very ineffective. Going pixel by pixel. So we have to figure out something which is better. Yeah, we have to figure out something better using textures. Yeah, we will have to figure something out better. Yeah, that would be the end of today's stream. We did quite a bit of stuff. First, we did some Codeforces stuff, and then a Raylib game of life. And that is it for today. And thank you for being here. Bye.